You know, I just started recording. Yeah,
Alrighty,
you almost got exposed.
Yeah, good.
Anyway, why don't we get started with this? So, I am the co-host of the TCP podcast, and today we're going to be doing the episodic roast of Umbrella Corps. It's been a while since we've done one, so we're just going to get right into it. Ren, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Renegade Operative here, the co-host of the Co-Operative podcast. We're going to be roasting what might be potentially a game better than Operation Raccoon City, so yeah, hope you enjoy.
Up next, we have Devil Hunter James. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
How's it going, guys? Ready to talk about this fucking next travesty from Capcom, basically.
And then after that, we have Mr. Word. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, how are you? I'm Brian Wood, aka Milk Dud Dictionary Artist, aka The Word.
AKA, what the fuck was that accent?
You went up with the accent too. Alright, and then last but not least, we have Mr. Brandon. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
What's good, everybody? Glad to be back for another roast. And Candy, there. Move on.
Candy. And you know, as I said, I am the co-host of the TCP podcast. But if you don't know me already, I am BioDevil Dom, and I also run the BioDevils podcast. So be sure to check that out as well. But like I said, we're gonna just get right into it. So, with the first question being, what do you know about Umbrella Corps, also known as Biohazard Umbrella Corps?
So, all the crap.
It looks... Yeah, it looks like it's Capcom's attempt at making an action sort of precursor to Resident Evil 6, but it's a squad-based shooter, and it looks very weird with the animations. Like, the first time I saw it, I was like, what is Capcom doing with the Unity engine? And MT Framework is just much better in terms of what they could accomplish. So I just find this whole premise weird, and the fact that it's canon too, it really didn't make any sense to me.
We'll talk about the canon later, but
yeah, but first impressions hasn't been that great. I am, looking forward to playing it and getting into it and seeing it for myself, but I don't have many high hopes, so to speak.
Right. This game is actually, from my understanding, it's taking place 2 years after RE6. But from my understanding as well is that since we've just recently seen Resident Evil 7, this game would technically be taking place 3 years before Resident Evil 7, if it's being considered canon.
Yeah.
I see the, as far as, like, the title is concerned, like, this is not necessarily, like, a new, like, marketing tactic that Capcom has done before. Like, remember the Gun Survivor series, for example. They've changed the titles in the West before, so that way people would actually try to buy them. Like, Gun Survivor 4 technically is Dead Aim here in the West, so I think that the only reason why they're even doing that with the title is just to get people to buy it in both Japan and in the West.
Yeah, they're really fucking with the RE names like a lot, from what I see, so it's not the only one they're messing with. But that's another discussion for another day.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I just know that they had some like weird inspirations. I think that's later in the document, but if it's not, it's supposed to be like based off of the inspiration is like paintball and airsoft, because apparently that's really big in Japan, which isn't surprising considering that a lot of the Samurai Edge models, they get replicas in Japan. But that, and then I would also assume that ORC had some hand in the influence, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, I
If it did, that would explain a lot. But
Yeah, that's playing the mediocrity.
thank you.
So, what about you, Brian? What do you know about this game?
Pretty much everything you said. Personally, if it's supposed to be canon, I think it's a pile of crap. And considering the gameplay I saw, it's a big pile of crap.
Yeah.
A pile of crap that slips and slide around the whole stage.
What about Brandon?
Same as everybody else. It is this, and it sucks.
Damn, that was straight to the point.
I take it James is gonna say the same thing.
Let's just say my first impression was seeing you go through the vents and like looking like you're crawling with your dick instead of your legs. So I was like, all right, this game looks dumb.
Oh, for the Code Veronica map, right?
That was the worst.
Yeah, I said the same thing. It's weird how the animations are for that. God.
Sounds like it hurts.
I'm sorry, I'm crawling through the vent like a paraplegic. How does that work?
Right. So, oh, did you? I didn't mean to interrupt. Were you gonna say something, Brian?
Nope. After what you just said, I got nothing for that.
All right, I think we've kind of talked about this a little bit too much, so why don't we move on to the next question? So
Yes,
I'm gonna
please.
let Brian. I'm gonna let you take number 2.
Okay. How do you feel about Umbrella Corps being considered canon to the Resident Evil universe while taking place 2 years after Resident Evil 6? First off, I can't say what I want to say right now, but I want to take this game and break the disc in half.
Damn.
Oh, the disc is only available in Japan. It's a digital-only game in the West.
If I could, I'd still do it.
Hey, break the digital game.
Well,
the digital.
he has to reach his hands through the internet, you know.
Yeah. But you were gonna say, Brian, you were saying something? I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, it's like I'm not cybernetic Kano when his mind was put into the internet in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. I like my body. I plan on using it for a long time. Okay, I'm done.
Ren, you were trying to say something earlier.
I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know how I feel about this. The fact that there's no true campaign other than aren't the campaign missions supposed to be like trials or something?
They're like, I think they're like single player missions. So I think from my understanding, the originally the game was supposed to be always online. But then they decided to throw in like single player missions that you can play offline. But they're only like, like small objectives kind of stuff, like, kill all the enemies on screen, collect like little like DNA samples, and kill this amount of enemies to get their samples and things of that nature. So yeah, there's really no campaign. From what I've been told, when I asked one of the Capcom Unity managers when they were doing the live stream with Alienware back during at PAX, I had asked how, or no, not how, but why is this game being considered canon? And the answer that I got was not how it was, or not why, it was how it was canon. And what I've been told, at least by Capcom, or by the Capcom Unity community manager, was that the game is loosely canon. So, like, I guess what they were trying to say was, like, the things that happen are canon, but, like, I guess, like, maybe some of the maps aren't canon, or like all the firefights aren't happening. They're just, that's just part of the game. But, like, companies sending out like mercenaries and whatnot that to get like old DNA samples that Umbrella just left behind in their old labs, maybe that's canon, but I just don't know, because they didn't really clarify all that much. They just said the game was mostly canon.
That is too many flip-flops on one decision. That's like flipping a pancake. It's like you can only make it flip so many times before it lands, and either you get it right or it just flops and make a mess.
Yeah, like
Now I'm hungry. Thanks, asshole.
well, my opinion on this is that it doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of clarity when it comes to finding out how much this is really canon or how deep they will go into the lore. I don't think they're going to do that for this game, so unfortunately, it's canon, but at the same time, it's like they aren't really going to do much with it because there's only these small little missions you go through, and it doesn't seem like anything pertinent to the game.
Right. And I'm just gonna say, like, right now, there's a couple of maps which we're gonna talk about later on in the document that seem like they would actually conflict with the canon, considering when the game is taking place. So, like, they're set on it setting the setting being after RE6, 2 years after. You know, they're set on that. So you're gonna when we talk about those maps, you're gonna just question why did they even pick those maps in particular if it's going to conflict. But I think I've talked enough. I just want to know what is James' opinion on this?
In terms of what again? Sorry, I was playing, so I was a little out of it.
How do you feel about Umbrella Corps being considered canon and it taking place 2 years after Resident Evil 6?
I think it's retarded. I don't know why they just can't call it a spin-off multiplayer and just be done with that. It doesn't make sense.
I mean,
there's 8,000 plot holes they're making doing that. It doesn't make it. It's just stupid.
Right. I mean, they are calling it a spin-off, but it's still being like it's like a canon spin-off, right?
I don't. Wasn't there something with Tricell too that doesn't make sense?
Yeah, you go through like Tricell HQ, I think.
I thought their HQ blew up by RE5.
Well, no, wait. Did they blow it up or?
No, they
didn't
after RE5, Tricell gets exposed.
Yeah, they got exposed, but I don't remember them blowing it up.
For like the CEO?
Yeah.
No. He was still under Umbrella, but he was trying to use Tricell as like a a ploy, I guess, or a scapegoat.
Basically, he was like dancing all over Excella Gione's titties, and that happened.
So I guess before we move on, does Brandon have anything to say?
That's stupid. Why are they canon? None of this makes sense. Why are we going back to Raccoon City after we got blown up?
We will talk about it. We will talk about that. Like I said, we will talk about that because it is later on. It's a later question in the document.
As I said, it doesn't seem like the canon lore is pertinent to the game, so why even bother? Makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
But continue.
Alright, so I think that everyone's got their thoughts out of the way for that one, so I'm gonna let Brandon read number 3.
What is your opinion on the gameplay that's been shown so far? Stupid.
Damn. He is just straight up just dumb, stupid.
It's not.
It's over.
It's not that. Well, you have like these hook weapons that can kill people in one shot. You can take the zombies as a human shield, even though technically they can just bite your forearm and affect you. The infection mechanic isn't in this game, and I don't think the bleeding mechanic is in this game either, which is kind of strange. What about the movement? The movement looks like they're on ice skating rinks or something.
Yeah,
that's because their legs barely move.
Like, the only thing that I guess you can say as far as, like, it being a third-person shooter that I guess you can say was kind of the right idea was using the zombies as, like, shields, as zombie shields, because technically Operation Raccoon City did that, so I guess that was a good thing to carry over, but I'm kind of surprised they didn't try to bring over the bleeding mechanic, because that was something that they did for Revelations 2, because it actually did work for that game. But as far as like the gameplay goes, like you said, Ron, the animations are just god awful. Like, there's a guy in one of the preview videos where he just slides up the stairs. In the Code Veronica video or the Code Veronica map trailer, there's a guy that literally slides up a vent and pushes himself up by just slightly moving his foot.
Oh my god, that's terrible, man. I could probably find better animations in the PS1 era than this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's just that problem, and the gameplay doesn't really look that compelling. And it seems like they limited it to like 3v3, and they could really go further than that if they want to make this a dynamic multiplayer experience that extends upon the core game. So I don't see why there aren't that many players that you can play with in other modes. It just seems like they're doing a lot of weird things with this that might not pay off in the end.
Just briefly, I want to add on to that. It's like I've heard people compare that game to like Counter-Strike and Rainbow Six Siege.
No way.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding you. Yeah. And what when I was thinking about those like statements, I was just thinking like, well, if this game took something good from like say Rainbow Six Siege, this game would be a 5v5 multiplayer game, not a 3v3. 3v3, in my opinion, would be something you would do in like a private lobby or very tournament-based stuff. And from my understanding, this game is also supposed to be like targeting esports.
Oh no.
Oh, you already done fucked it up.
Can I just say something?
Oh, please go ahead.
If that's the case, this game is likely to flop harder than LeBron after he got slapped.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh man.
Not even sorry.
And I'd like to just say one last thing before I let James go, is that like with that kind of mentality, that's part of the reason why Street Fighter V kind of failed, is because Capcom was trying to go for that.
I put it in lightly. Fought like a pancake, as one other person said.
But it's like that's part of the reason why Street Fighter V failed, was because Capcom was trying to go for that Evo crowd, and trying to rush that shit for Evo. And the same thing can be said about this game, is that if Capcom is trying to port this or make this game for esports and trying to rush this out for like the next big esports tournament, which I don't really give a fuck about, that is going to harm the game more than help it.
James, I'm copywriting that joke, by the way.
Take it.
So, before we move on, do you have any final thoughts on this, James?
Gameplay wise, looks like booty.
And not in a good way.
No, it looks like a grandma's ass crack.
Oh my god.
Move on.
Save the show.
Save the show.
I'm gonna have.
As for the esports thing, why? This game doesn't look even remotely good for esports. I don't know why Capcom cares about esports in the first place.
Money.
Yeah, but those games are usually good, or at least competently made. These are not.
I mean,
you can't shit out half a game and then say, well, this is esports now. No, it's not.
Mm-hmm. I would have to agree. I mean, it's just like we can talk all day about the different kinds of games that do like the esports kind of competitive thing, right? And which ones do them wrong. But that would be a whole other discussion that could be had on another day. So I'm gonna let Ren take number 4, since we've kind of gotten that question out of the way.
Alright, to follow up with the last question, do you think it's a problem to have maps based on other Resident Evil locations, despite them being destroyed or cured of whatever was infecting people? Do you think it's also bad to include enemy types from Resident Evil 6 into those maps if those enemies were never known to be in those locations? So,
I'll go first.
Alright.
Okay.
Pretty quick. For starters, considering this is canon, yes, this is a problem. Because Raccoon City was destroyed. No need for us to go back there. That island back in Kofaranka was blown to smithereens. Need to go back there. As far as bringing RE6 enemies back, no. They should have brought back enemy types from that specific game on those maps, like Lost Blockers, for example.
Now, some of the RE6 names were basically copy and pasted from Left 4 Dead, a better game. Take that, Capcom.
Ironically, Left 4 Dead characters are in 6.
Yeah.
PC.
Okay.
Yeah, that's weird.
I would also like to add on to what Brandon said. I had seen gameplay. I've seen a lot of gameplay of the RE4 map, and you know how like in RE4 you have the dogs with like the split heads or like the split backs, and they have like the tentacles coming out of them. They don't have those dogs in there. They poured over Cerberus into that map. And the Las Plagas, like whenever you blow off an enemy's head and they have the Plaga sticking out of their head, it's not really a threat like it is in RE4.
Thank God, because we really don't need this game to be any more of a tentacle hentai than it already was.
Well,
you know, it's like, why didn't you try to put more effort into those enemies, and why didn't you actually put in the correct enemies in the correct locations? Like, I'm actually surprised they didn't try to port over some, like, RE6 maps, just, you know, since we have RE4 and RE5, as well as Code Veronica and RE2 maps. You know, why aren't the, like, specific enemy types there? Like, say, for Code Veronica and the RE2 maps, they had, like, lickers instead of the bloodshots. For like RE5, maybe you would have like the I don't know, like maybe the Executioner or something like that. I just don't think it would be right to throw in an enemy type from RE6 into locations where it doesn't actually make sense.
I do think that is weird. The rebuilt Raccoon City, I think it's just maps full of fluff that they're trying to go for, but aesthetically they don't look right. So you see Raccoon City and it's all destroyed, and it's like you go back and look and it's like, hey, that never really happened while I was here, and even if the city was nuked, it still wouldn't be standing because it's been nuked.
Well, like I said, that's a later question, because I know like everybody wants to get to that one, and believe me, yeah, that is some questionable stuff that Capcom has done. But you know, to kind of get back on topic, like, how do you feel about them like just porting over enemies from later games into maps that take place in the older games?
Why don't they just, like, considering this is a new spin-off and all, why didn't they just make enemies that were new? Like, remember Operation Raccoon City with the Nemesis Parasite? That was a new enemy. So I don't understand. Like, they could have made new enemies without bringing in the old ones back, unless they had some nostalgia trip to bring them back in. That's the only reason they're there. But even still, the Bloodshot doesn't even look right, and he's on the Code Veronica map. Like, really?
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make any sense lore wise at all either.
Yeah, and I would have to agree. I mean, like, if the game is going to be canon, why not just take liberties to make, you know, new enemy types, so that way you can say, like, okay, well, these enemy types are new, maybe the maps aren't really canon, maybe they're actually destroyed, but we're experimenting with, like, new enemy types, perhaps for, like, remakes of these games, and we might throw them into the remake or something like that, and instead they're just being like, yeah, we'll just pull this enemy from RE6, we'll pull that one, this one. How about that enemy from RE2? We'll just throw that into the RE4 map.
Shit, if they're using the Code Veronica map, they should just use, like, stuff like the Banner Snatchers. I mean, that'd be pretty cool to see. It seems like they want to take the right liberties, but they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with them, honestly.
Yeah. How does James feel about this?
How the enemies in the wrong places? I just don't think they cared about it. They just wanted to make random shit, seems like.
It's gonna be so non-canon it hurts.
I still think they should backtrack the statement when they said it's canon, because it can't be. Just not the way it's set up.
Right. You know, I would also like to add on, like, if not that, just at least say that the you know, like the RE4, RE5, RE2, and Code Veronica maps are just, you know, like throwback maps. They're not actually canon, whereas the Tricell and the Umbrella Labs, those would actually be canon.
Yeah, but too bad that's messed up now, so it's like crying over spilt milk.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna let James take on number 5.
Alright, 5 is 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 5 Do you find it strange that the game based on preview seems to only have about 5 weapons in total? Is this bad when comparing it to RE5? Or perhaps a decent amount of weapons in ORC?
As a preview, no. But when the full game releases, we better be packing heat like we're Deathstroke.
Are you gonna play the game?
I'm saying, if I go into this game and all I got is one hand, if there's only one type of handgun, one type of shotgun, right, sniper rifle, machine gun, it's a problem.
Yeah, I hope that the full game has more, but if they don't, that's going to be an issue. Why would you limit guns in a shooter? It doesn't make any sense. Why?
Especially when it's a shooter that's not based off the original Resident Evil formula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And considering how they are toting this as an action title, it would be kind of stupid for them not to put in like a huge assortment of guns and weaponry.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I've seen some of like the weapons. I've only seen, I think maybe it was like, I think there's a little bit more than 5 that I've seen so far. But it's like maybe one submachine gun that they keep showing in every single preview, one shotgun that they show in every single preview, about 3 or 4 different handguns as of this point. You have your Wesker Samurai Edge, which I don't know if is DLC or if it's an actual unlock. You have Claire's M93 from Code Veronica. You have the Matilda from RE2, I believe, and then you have the Lightning Hawk or Desert Eagle from previous iterations, like RE2 and RE5, for example, and I believe also RE6. So that's like about 5 weapons, and then I think I've also seen like maybe one like CQC or CQB assault rifle. So that's about 5-6 weapons there. And to me, it just doesn't feel enough. Like, I think that they really do need the arsenal from RE5, if not the decent amount of weapons that you can have, in, like ORC had. It had a decent amount of weapons, even though they're all ass. But, the point being is that you should have an arsenal if this is going to be a shooter. I will say, however, as far as, like, the customization goes, I do like the fact that you can, like, change, like, little bits, like even the iron sights for your weapons, which I thought was kind of cool because you don't actually get to see that in a lot of shooters. So that's a positive, I guess. But for the most part, when it comes to the amount of weapons, no, that's negative. You need to add in more, and they shouldn't be DLC. They should be unlockable. But I've talked enough about that. What are your thoughts about this, Brandon?
Sucks.
Straight to the point again.
He's not even trying.
I just don't care about this game. All seriousness, like no.
Well, at least you're
like,
being honest.
Really, like in all honesty, though, why have a small arsenal for a massive shooter like this?
Indeed.
I mean, hey, Resident Evil 4 had bigger arsenal than this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, for sure, man. You had fucking grenade launchers, you had fucking whatever. I don't remember Resident Evil 4's weapons too vividly, but I know you got an assortment of like revolvers and machine guns and sniper rifles and all that shit. And you got to upgrade those guns as well.
Here's a joke. DMZ had more of an arsenal than this. Capel.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
Damn, he's going that route.
You're probably right, because if it's just 5 guns, then, worst game is more limited. So, yeah.
How about you, James?
So I even need to say anything? Like, 5 guns.
No.
Call of Duty has more guns than this.
That game's arsenal is bigger than the others.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's just dumb. Capcom is lazy title again.
Call of Duty makes Umbrella Corps look small by comparison. Yes, the pun is intentional.
The pun.
Okay, so we'll move on to number 6. I'll take this one. Speaking of Operation Raccoon City, in one of the trailers showing off customizations, it seems that one of the patches / emblems is directly from the Spec Ops team from ORC. Do you think it's likely that we'll see the characters from that game, if not some other references to ORC?
I certainly hope not, because we don't need to be reminded of the redheaded stepchild of the RE franchise.
Steve.
Well, no. I don't think that's. Well, I don't think that's the case. I think that
want him back.
I think that they are going to probably put in different characters as DLC, because they're already kind of doing that with the pre-order bonus, where you get to play as old
DLC,
characters.
Andrew.
It's overpriced, yeah, but they
It's
are
like
doing it.
$15.
How much?
$15.
$15 for 6 character skins. I don't even think you get new weapons.
$15 plus your firstborn.
From what I've seen, both, well, like a new iteration of the USS patch, which is the Umbrella Security Service patch, that's in the game along with the Spec Ops patch. The Spec Ops patch hasn't been altered, so I think that if not little Easter eggs like that, I do think that it's likely we'll see character skins specifically based off of those characters. In my opinion, I don't think it's that bad, because it's, an action game that, it's just skins. It's a cosmetic thing. It's not like you're actually going through ORC again, in the sense that you're going through a shit tier campaign. But I don't think that's bad if they do add those characters in, but it would be a problem if they're charging you, like $15 for like 6 character skins.
But this is Capcom here, the people who did on this DLC religiously, so I think they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody else have anything to say, or are we good? I know that's kind of a smaller question.
Pray to the almighty DLC. No, I'm kidding.
Well, Brendan, you were saying something?
Brandon, where'd you go, faggot?
I heard somebody got a trophy.
I think we're pretty much done with this one.
Alrighty, so I'll let Brian to take number 7.
Oh, I'm glad you did. What is your take on the game having a pre-order bonus that includes characters such as Hunk, the RE6 iteration of Leon, and the RE6 iteration of Chris, to name a few, rather than having them as unlocks? Pre-order bonus can suck a fat one. Personally, Hunk being there, I have no problem with, because this man has been going like Jesus after his resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to come back. Leon and Chris, we've seen enough of them for more than one game. It's like, if they're just bonus characters, whatever, but Jesus Christ, come on. Help us, please.
Especially Leon.
Yeah, Leon's been in more RE games than you can count, more movies than you can count. It's time to bring back... going off the last question, I don't see why they don't have any of the RE females in this game. They just have all the dudes.
Sexist.
Yeah, that was also weird,
Sexist.
too.
Somebody call Anita.
All jokes aside, that's like really weird. Like, I think they just wanted to make it a total sausage fest, but
No.
As far as like doing the pre-order bonus, I think it sucks that these are even pre-order bonuses to begin with. I think that Hunk isn't too bad, and we have kind of seen him here and there for like raid mode in the Revelation series, but we haven't seen him like full on. And I still think that Capcom should, pursue to make a game with him, whether that be a survival horror game or a spin-off action game that plays like RE4 or something. It would be really nice to just have a game with him.
Yeah, but unfortunately, they have all that potential, and it's wasted because they don't think Hunk is anything more than a side character.
Oh well, you know, when Gregaman was working at Capcom, at least, he compared him to Johnny Sasaki from the Metal Gear Solid series.
Oh, he's a joke character.
Wow.
He was like, they did something with him, and I thought that was a mistake. So that would be like the same thing if you did that to Hunk, and I'm just like face palming like there's no fucking tomorrow.
I'm glad he's gone. I'm so glad he's gone from Capcom. Really glad.
What about you, James? What do you think about the pre-order DLC?
It's dumb.
All right, Ren, you want to read off number 8?
I can do it since these feet get so distracted. Do you think that it's odd that this game is supposed to be canon, but yet it has more throwback maps than new maps?
Yes.
Yeah, it is weird that they are doing this, and not to mention that, like I said, they don't seem to be taking the initiative on the opportunity to make something new. They're just focusing on the old stuff, and at the same time trying to say it's canon, and the lore is really not going to be expanded on because it's not going to factor into the core game that much. So it is weird seeing that too.
This story sounds like one big rumor mill. It's like, hey girl, did you hear about what happened with such and such? It's like, ooh girl, what happened? And you just sitting down eating popcorn the whole time listening.
You know what would be better? If they just came out and said Tricell was still alive, because it would obviously lead into more sequel bait.
From the point in time, I would actually kind of like that, and I'm surprised they didn't do that for like RE6 instead of having, what is it, Neo Umbrella?
Neo Umbrella, yeah.
I think it should have been Tricell for that one because, you know, Tricell kind of became the new Umbrella, so, you know, and that was something like, you know, characters like Chris Redfield were like worried about happening, where you know, new organizations taking their place, and people like Wesker, you know, or a new Wesker coming out, and that would have been an interesting way to continue forward with it. So I think it would have been nice to see that, you know, see the game take the chance to maybe explore the idea of, you know, Tricell is still around and they're sending you out to do shit. I mean, the game kind of already does that and says that you're going out and you're working for random, you know, corporations that are similar to Umbrella and Tricell, but they don't really specify who those companies are. They don't really talk about that much. And it just kind of left in the dust, and that's always been kind of a problem with Capcom, is that they don't really talk about like any of the competing companies that Umbrella has ever had in the series.
No, it's just always either the organization or the family, and they really don't expand on them that much, even though they have a following, because a lot of people kind of wanted to see the family carry into Resident Evil 7, and now it's like that's up in the ether. So I can kind of see that sentiment of them saying, well, you know, they have all this lore here, but they don't expand on it, and it's just missed opportunities at this rate. I think that personally, when it comes to throwback maps and lore, they should just come out with it and say it, rather than just saying that, oh, well, we have this Tricell facility that's still active, it's canon, and there's zombies everywhere. That's it. It's like, Jesus. I would like to see them sort of show this to us story-wise, even if it's a cutscene, than to just have it there for gameplay purposes.
Yeah, I would have
How do you play this game?
Hold on, I'm gonna back out for a second.
Yeah, good. Just
I'm
What,
gonna back out.
That's like the like not doing new maps. I'll just say this, like, it would be nice to see like new maps, and then just them like maybe separating the two, like, okay, these are throwback maps, none of the things that happen in this, or none of the like enemy placement and all that none of that is canon, right? And if they would say that, but they haven't said that. Capcom has not said any of that. And then maybe do like a handful of like new maps that are specifically made for the game, that that are particularly canon, but they don't do that.
Yeah, because that's what the last three Resident Evil games did. It's like Resident Evil 4 had that was it that Waterworld stage of Mercenaries? RE5 had that. It had that extra part of the lab stage. It had that random mountain castle stage. And then 6 had that weird engineering lab stage in Mercenary, so it's like.
Well, that one, they took some and they organized them to where they don't look the same as their other counterparts. So they just they took bits and pieces, but it wasn't really those particular maps in full in terms of how they were in the campaign, just structured differently. So in that event, some of it makes sense that they're doing that because, you know, it adds to the stage design, and you'll say like, oh, well, here's China from Resident Evil 6. It's noticeable. But at the same time, it's like, why, if you're making it canon and it's new, and you aren't doing anything with it, makes no sense.
Especially after especially after that city in China got blown up.
Well, yeah, that too. It's like, you're bringing in these maps, and it's like, they're devastated, but you're changing them around, they look different, so people are going to say, what the hell? Yeah, anyone who is a fan of those maps and they see something different, I think their first instinct is to get confused.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are there any final thoughts on this, or can we move on?
I don't think so.
Go ahead.
You were saying, Brian?
Yeah, I say we can move on.
Okay, cool. So I'll read off number 9 because these two faggots are playing Tekken right now. There was a rumor going around that Resident Evil 7 would have players go back to Raccoon City. In a trailer for Umbrella Corps, we learned that there would be 2 maps based in Raccoon City. One based during the outbreak of Raccoon City, and the other being after it's been destroyed with the dilapidated RPD police station. Do you think people might have confused the rumor with these maps, or do you think that we could still see Raccoon City in Resident Evil 7?
I'd say yes to the latter. Also, hearing about a map like that, this is kind of like when somebody brings up that one X that you never want to think about. Only when they do bring it up, then you just start feeling miserable because it was just so much crap that went down. I mean, look what happened to Raccoon.
His ex-girlfriend got blown up.
Well, what do you think about this, Brendan?
His ex-girlfriend got blown up.
That pretty much summed it up for me.
I'll just say this, like, I think that given what we know about Resident Evil 7, I don't think it's likely that we'll see Raccoon City, although, that would be interesting, I guess, but given that it's destroyed, I don't know, like, when you say, like, going back to Raccoon City, I guess the only real way you can make it work is if you had, you know, if you took the concept of Biohazard Dash and implemented that into the game, but it's very unlikely that Capcom would go back to that particular concept, although Capcom is no stranger to going back to older concepts. As far as how the maps are, I don't know, or like as far as the rumor goes, I think that, you know, it's potential that people did actually confuse the maps for the, you know, what RE7 was going to actually be taking place in. So, you know, who knows?
I don't know how I feel about this one. I think that, once again, I think they took some liberties. I don't think that we'll see Raccoon City and RE7, considering the fact that they seem to be really focused on this one plantation out in Louisiana, so I don't think that we'll see any stuff like that unless they expand on the game. But it's interesting if they go back to Ground Zero and perhaps maybe put in some news articles or something like that, because there's always stuff going around Resident Evil that's not based in that one location that seems to have people that have their own agendas that are bigger than that one location. So I would love to see some stuff about Umbrella, maybe Neo Umbrella talking about some stuff that's going on with Raccoon City, or maybe they rebuilt the town there or something like that. You never know. I don't know. So it would be... Oh, well, yeah, it is nuclear irradiated, but I'm saying, like, you know, they could always pull something out of their ass saying, "Oh, well, we're making a Raccoon City 2.0 or something somewhere else." So,
like I said, you know, if they were to take them back to Raccoon City, I think the only way you could actually really do it is if you went back to that concept of Biohazard Dash. Except for the original concept for that game was there was going to be new characters and they were going to be going back to the Spencer Mansion after it had been destroyed.
Yeah,
but you know, they scrapped that concept entirely in favor of RE2.
Well, Dom, you said something before about the Arclay Mountains possibly still being existent. Maybe they could do something around there, or make a memorial city, or either make something like Tall Oaks, where it's totally new, and they have the potential to, you know, have that call back to Resident Evil 2 again.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the only way they can go about it. Other than that, the city has been nuked, so changing it is kind of futile at this point, in my opinion.
I mean, let's be honest. If you're trying to pull something out your ass, you're gonna get a pile of crap anyway.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So I guess we can move on. I'll take this next one here too. What is your take on the concept of Umbrella Corps? And for those of you that don't know, the concept is basically you are a soldier working for you're a mercenary. You're working for random companies that are trying to get a piece of what Umbrella left behind, you know, before they had gone under. So you're going into these locations that are, you know, quarantine zones and things of that nature, and you're trying to get like DNA samples from like enemies and combat data and things of that nature. So that is basically the concept of Umbrella Corps. As a spin-off title on its own, I don't mind it, but given that what they've been doing with this game, I just don't like the fact that it's being considered canon.
It's gonna flop like LeBron.
So what was the question again?
What do you think of? What is your take on the concept of Umbrella Corps? And to repeat myself, the concept of Umbrella Corps is basically you are a mercenary. You are sent in by random companies, no-name companies. You don't even know what they are, and they are being sent in by these companies into these quarantine zones to collect combat data and to collect DNA samples from zombies and other mutations that were created by Umbrella.
And I said it's gonna flop like LeBron.
You are flopping, man. Are you trying to ask something from us?
I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, what is your take on that, Brendan?
Well, pretty much what Brian said. It's gonna flop.
All right then.
Wait, what question is this again? 10 or 11? This is sure.
This is number 10.
Number 10. The concept. It wouldn't be a bad idea to see different companies come in and take over what Umbrella's trying to do, but they could have incorporated better, I guess.
Also, are those companies even established?
Yeah, they should have done this years ago.
They apparently are, but you just don't know the names of these companies. So I would assume that like maybe like Tricell, for example, like remnants of Tricell are trying to gather data from Umbrella, because you know they might have had like alliances, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily like buddy, which would make sense why they would try to get some of their shit.
The only thing I remember is the fact that all the viruses got sold on the black market, so everyone had their hand on the pie pretty much since they were sold.
Tricell was one of them.
Yeah, Tricell was one, but one thing I never understood is why they were sold on the black market. I think it had something to do with Wesker, right? Sort of selling them to the highest bidder.
It was definitely Wesker was trying to play a big end game with the way he was developing the viruses, because it was like he had sample of the T virus, sample of the G virus, T Veronica virus, the Las Plagas, and
TTP virus.
TCP.
TCP virus.
TCP.
And then the T Abyss virus. Yeah. So it's like combine all that. It's like Wesker was gonna pretty much. It's kind of like Wesker was really playing a long game with everybody that could have been involved, and now it's like everybody's trying to do what do what he couldn't finish. That's just me though. I mean, it's about the most sensible thing story-wise, but it's just like with the way they're handling it just seems like a one big foster clock.
Well, in my opinion, I think that people have various reasonings as to why they're going around making viral outbreaks, being assholes. So I think that I think that it's just different motivations every time it's bought on the black market, and that's their way of wanting to continue the series while having it make sense. That anyone can get their hands on it, pretty much.
I gotta make it make sense on the parallel.
Yeah.
Shut up. No words of the parallels.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
So, I mean, you know, it's like I said, like, the concept sounds cool. Also, James, you forgot to mute. But
God damn it.
The concept is interesting, and I think it would work, but it's just like the way that it's being executed it's being done poorly. And, you know, looking back at like something like Operation Raccoon City, great concept, poorly executed, and that's what we're seeing again with this game.
Yeah, most definitely. I hope that they realize the potential, and even if this game flops, there's always an opportunity to make a good spin-off, even though you know, this game flopped, because the direction the mainline story is going, you know, we don't usually see mainline series until after like 3 to 2.5 years. So they always had the opportunity to make these spin-off games. I think they can still make an interesting spin-off. It's just the way they go about it that's the most important.
I would have to agree. But I think we've kind of set on this question for quite a bit now, so I will let Ren take the next one. Okay,
so this is number 11. Why do you think Capcom is going back to action-based Resident Evil games, even though they've seen the overall positive reception of Resident Evil Origins Collection and the Resident Evil Revelation series? I will simply have to say it, and this is true, identity crisis. I mean, it's the reason why they keep going back and forth, because they listen to one set of fans who might have liked Resident Evil 4 through 5, then they might go to the other set of fans that like Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, and they say, well, I like this style, I like that style, so they try to just blend it all together in the blender and see what sticks. And that's not the best way to go about it. And all this other stuff I've been hearing about, them listening to Call of Duty fans, them listening to Last of Us fans, them, you know, doing all this other shit, looking at VR and first person and stuff like that. I just think that it's a huge clusterfuck. And the reason why,
chefs can spoil the recipe, basically.
Yeah, and so if they're catering to the Call of Duty crowd, which I think they are with this game, that's what they're going for.
Suck.
Yeah, they're going more for the money and less for the quality, so to speak.
Yeah,
and it's gonna suck big time.
Brian over here firing shots.
I would have to say that with what I've heard, at least, is that Capcom has been saying that they realized that was a big mistake when it came to RE6, was trying to listen to every single fan. So with like Umbrella Corps, they're saying that if you want action, just go to spin-off games like this. If you want horror, go to Resident Evil 7, which, you know, Resident Evil 7 in on itself may or may not arguably have an identity crisis on its own, but that's a whole nother topic. You know, the point being is that, yeah, I would have to agree. It's just like Capcom just doesn't know what to do with the Resident Evil franchise. They listen to so many other, you know, different fan bases. They listen to the one that basically split in half, and are potentially even splitting even more. And it's just like they don't even know what to listen to or what to do. And I think that it would have been best that Capcom just focus on like survival horror stuff, even if it has a little bit of action elements like previous iterations. But also just kind of like, also just think about just making new franchises if they feel like, and new IPs if they feel like they should cater to an action crowd. Because I don't think that making action games is bad, but just slapping the Resident Evil name on it is kind of a ridiculous thing to do, in my opinion.
Because that's weird, isn't it? Like, you look at Dino Crisis, it went from a sort of survival horror game to an action game, naturally, by the creator. So that would be a lot more entertaining to see that turned into an action series than to see it happen to Resident Evil. I just think that Capcom was mostly pressuring Shinji Mikami to sort of make a good game with Resident Evil 4, and he had to scrap so many concepts until he finally landed on something that appeased him and met the bottom line. So I think that it's just identity crisis after identity crisis, and if they don't sort it out, then that's going to spill over to the spin-offs and the main line even more. So I just hope that for this game in particular, it works out to have the action as a sort of a spin-off thing, and the main line is something more serious and focused, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I would also like to add on that, just like, looking at like some of these, like other franchises that have been inspired by Resident Evil, because they start off as a Resident Evil game and then change it entirely. Like, Onimusha, for example, started off as a feudal Japan Resident Evil game before it became Onimusha, because they deemed that stuff too different. And they start off like Devil May Cry, Onimusha, Dino Crisis. They started off as very they have like survival horror elements. Arguably, Dino Crisis 1 was a survival horror game.
Then 2 was like an action game.
And then they move on from that with the sequels, and the sequels are more action based and more what they need to be. And like I'm glad you brought up Dino Crisis, because I actually feel as though Dino Crisis needs to play like games like Umbrella Corps and Resident Evil 6 and stuff like that. Just not have the bad animations, of course, but as far as like third-person shooters and whatnot, it would be perfect for a Dino Crisis game.
Yeah, it's like the natural progression. It seemed like for RE4, like I said, they just seemed to put the gun to Mikami's back, and he had to scrap so many versions of Resident Evil 4 to the point where it got ridiculous. Like, there's like so many prototypes of that game. Some of them are survival horror. Some of them we never seen, like the zombie prototype. So I just think they settled on something that appeased them, and they went from there. And they tried to make this new era because Resident Evil 4 was so popular. Yeah.
This reminds me of something that a lot of black comedians said, and I think, me and Ren can probably attest to this. It's kind of like when you're black and you're growing up in a black household, you try and smack your mama. It's like you're gonna pay for it one way or the other.
That's true.
So, do you feel that way about them changing it so much that they really didn't learn their lesson?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I figured that's where you're going with that.
Because let's be honest, given what I just said, if you didn't learn your lesson, you're gonna feel it more ways than one.
Prepare for the belt.
Yeah, pretty much. That belt is going up your backside hard, and by the end, you are just going to be face first on the floor, crying, begging for God to help you.
And Brian is going into detail, but I think that's where we have to move on to question number 12.
I'm just saying.
Alright, so, Dom, you want to take it? Or you want to let someone else go? I can go then. Some fans... Yeah, he ripped it. So, some fans have argued that they would be more than willing to purchase a new Mercenaries game, if not an updated port of Mercenaries 3D over Umbrella Corps. Do you feel the same way? I want that game where it's like every single character from the series in there, and it's a Mercenaries game. That'd be great. That'd be like, you get to play Burry, Billy, Rebecca, all of that. Everyone want that style of game, but they don't deliver it to us. So it's like, also the loadout thing is kind of strange, to be honest. Now, the fact that Mercenary 3D allowed you to have your own loadout and sort of change them up a little bit, I think that'd be pretty cool to see in a Mercenaries game if they did that.
Yeah, it would, just as long. But then, you know, they have to nerf it so that nobody is ridiculously overpowered. Cause like, if you play Mercenaries and Resident Evil 5, it's like Wesker, limited as his weapons were, had a fairly good set of weapons.
Stars Wesker is just the worst example. And like, man, if you were just doing usual, not team deathmatch, but I think it was team slayers. If the other team decided to kill you and they had Stars Wesker and he had that damn shotgun, you would be screwed in like 2 hits. So I can understand the balancing. We're on question number 12, though. 12.
Okay, cool. Alright, do you mind if I take this one really quick?
I already said it. We're discussing it, actually.
Oh, okay, cool. So, yeah, I would actually really like an HD port of that game, if not like a new one. Just because like there's so much potential for just doing Mercenaries as a standalone title.
And I said, like, the best thing they could do is include everyone from the series. Don't leave anyone out, because that's what people have been asking for years. They want a Mercs game, if it comes, with everyone in it. Like, no one left behind. So it'll feel like a true reunion in a sense.
You know, the one thing that sort of got on my nerves were some of the complaints that I heard, that I saw from some of the people who played the game, because they were like, it was like, man, I'm mad. I bought this game and I like to play it, but I can't delete my old save file and start over. It's like, why would you?
Well, that is a legit complaint, considering you can't make multiple save files, but at the same time, though, why would you start over?
Like the multiple save files.
Mercenaries game, it doesn't make sense, but I'm sorry to interrupt.
It's cool. The multiple save files, that part I get. But it's like trying to delete just to start it over is like, I mean, you know, if you get complacent and you start to suck, that's your own fault.
I think that like Ren was saying, like having all the characters would be nice, but I would also argue that like having like all the maps from Resident Evils 4 through 6, those would be really cool to see. And along with like maybe some of the characters from the 3D game as well, because there are some characters that were exclusive to that version, if I'm not mistaken, like Claire Redfield, for example. So it'd be really cool to just see that all like come together, or maybe even do like new exclusive maps just for that particular Mercenaries game. I don't see why Capcom doesn't take that opportunity to do so.
Because it's Capcom. That's all you need to know.
Did James or Brandon go on this one, or?
No, I don't think so.
Hey guys.
Yes.
Answer the question.
Why should I?
It's your turn.
I don't know anything about Mercenaries 3D, so you have to fill me in.
Well, if you've played Mercenaries, you've pretty much played Mercenaries 3D. It's a 3DS game, but it's just Mercenaries. The one thing that that particular game has over like Mercenaries mode on all the other games, though, is that you can swap loadouts between characters. So like if you wanted to play as Jill Valentine, but you really liked Krauser's setup, you can swap setups between the two characters.
What he said.
Yeah, it does sound better. I don't know why they haven't brought it back.
Because they're stupid. Because they're stupid. Let me stop. I'm doing too much right now.
Yes, you are. Shut up.
So I think we're good to go on, right? And tackle the next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who read the last one, by the way?
Renegade did.
I did.
I haven't read shit.
James, why don't you read number 13?
Alright. Let's see. Do you think it's likely that Capcom will take feedback from this game and use it for either RE2 remake or not RE7? Probably not.
No, I
Given
wouldn't be surprised considering the use
Capcom's record.
RE6.
Hold on,
Yeah.
one at a time. One at a time.
Given Capcom's record since they've refused to listen to fucking anybody, no, probably not, because they're dumb.
And then you were saying, Brandon?
I was saying, like, considering they're using RE6 feedback for the for RE2 remake, I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
That is all.
I think that, yeah, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they did it like Brandon said, but I would prefer if they wouldn't take feedback from this game for, RE7 or the Resident Evil 2 remake. If anything, I would say, if they plan on doing more spin-offs like this, then take feedback from that game and apply it to the next one.
Yeah, use that feedback and put it into the best of your ability. It is good that they're, sticking with the horror stuff. So I think if they do it right, it'll have the opportunity to make some new scares. But if they do it wrong, then it's gonna flip-flop on their head.
Mm-hmm.
So, number 14, who wants to read that?
Not it.
I'll take it.
All right.
Already read it.
Wait,
there a possible-
is it marked?
What, 14?
Yeah.
No, it's not marked. It's with below 13.
Oh, okay.
James,
So-
are you blind?
Yeah, James kind of confused me with this statement.
No, I meant I already read, so someone else read.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
you meant you already read 14, but that's okay.
I got
So,
it. Okay, I got it.
yeah.
Is there a possible chance that this game may do better than Operation Raccoon City? Definitely. Why or why not?
I agree.
Because the last game was Raccoon City.
Operation Raccoon City is horrible. I think this game will be at least significantly a little bit better because even though they are canon with this stage that they have for Tricell, they aren't trying to sort of make this non-canon attempt that just shits over everything. So, I think it'll be a little bit better, but not by a lot.
I'm trying so hard not to think of the stuff I said during the stream.
Oh, please don't.
Yeah, you can see us play Raccoon City on Ren's channel if you want to see how shit that game actually is.
It's freaking
I-
hilarious.
I'm kind of split on that one because, like, on the one hand, balance-wise and all that, it might actually play a lot better than Raccoon City, but on the other hand, it could be equally as bad. So I'm kind of split, and given that what the gameplay that's available now for it, you can see like we said earlier, like the bugged animations and the really shit tier gameplay so far. So it's really hard to tell at this point, but it would not be surprising if it's just as bad.
So did anyone else go?
I think we're all in.
I
Oh,
said what I needed to.
Okay, well, I'll take the next one. I think everyone's gonna want to have a piece of this one, actually. How do you think Umbrella Corps will sell? Do you think it's possible that the release of Mighty Number 9, which we know is not actually getting delayed because the review scores have came in recently for both games, actually, will benefit in terms of? Do you think that the release of Mighty Number 9 will benefit this game in terms of sales?
No.
Potentially.
Sorry.
I
Still no.
And I'm saying potentially only because of the fact that Mighty Number 9 and its little controversy, which we'll do a roast on that particular game in the near future, of course. But the way that game was handled and all the controversy surrounding that game, I think that yes, people would probably put their money on other crap like this, and it would benefit from sales. From what I'm seeing with review scores, at least the one that I've seen so far, the game has already gotten better review scores than Mighty Number 9.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure what to say about that though. I mean, they both suck apparently.
Yeah, that game is DOA though. It's dead on arrival. So,
to Umbrella Corps' credit, it has a 36 on from Mitsu on Mighty Number 9, which is a 30.
Out of what?
Yeah, it's a flat 30.
30 out
Flat
of
30
40.
out of 40.
I always found their reviews or their review scores weird, to be honest. Very
It
weird.
actually makes sense because if you add all four numbers together, it will achieve set number.
Interesting.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do
which is
four
why they
different
have 40.
Yeah,
It's
they
like
do
green.
like 4 different score numbers, and that's how you would add them all up.
So basically, if everyone gives it a 10, it's a 40.
Can I give it a 2?
It's like grading a college essay, basically.
I don't know about that yet.
Oh, believe me, if from what you were saying, that's pretty much how it is.
So how do you feel about that though, Brian? Like, do you think that the game will sell better because of Mighty Number 9?
Hell no.
The way you said that. Oh shit.
I mean, like, my number 9 is probably gonna sell some kind of way anyway, but it's like Umbrella Corps on its own can sell because there's Resident Evil fans who wanted something,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty much it.
I don't think they wanted this game because I mean, the people once again, the people who want to play COD will play COD.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, aside from us, there's people who don't want to play it because they want a Resident Evil game. Us on the other hand, we're like, yeah, we're just gonna let this one sit on the shelves, let it collect dust. The game is never coming out of retirement because it's never gonna hit retirement.
Woo-hoo-hoo, damn. I thought I was gonna be firing shots, but I guess not.
I've been firing shots all night.
Did you go for this one, Ren?
Which one was that? Number 15?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm more of a it remains to be seen how this will sell sort of guy because you never know. It could go either way.
I stand by what I said.
I mean, but I will say the demographic they're looking for Umbrella Corps, this whole shooter craze. I mean, I don't know. It has to be really good to get some recognition. Like, really good. It has to be, and even good shooters, sometimes they don't get the recognition they deserve. So it's going to be a hard sell to some people. I will say, if it's fun, then sure, it could sell more than Mighty Number 9. But if it's not, then it's pretty much going to go the way of the dodo.
Yeah.
I thought you said the dildo.
No, the dodo. the
He's
extinct
gonna become Moira.
the extinct bird.
James, stop thinking of your Fox girls.
So why don't we have Brandon read off number 16 since he's been looting some of these.
Oh, fine. Oh.
Yeah, read, you black man.
Okay, you white man.
Oh, okay then.
Hey,
No, Red Shade just...
Shut up, though. Alright, to add on the last question, do you think RE5 will sell more than Umbrella Corps, despite having it intentionally released digitally on the 28th of June?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that the initial release for the 28th, because that's 7 days away from that particular release date. Technically, that's 8 for when we're recording, but yeah, I think more people would be inclined to purchase RE5 again than Umbrella Corps.
So that's a yes, no.
I said yes.
What about you, Ren?
Let me read this over real quick. Resident Evil 5 selling more. I mean, yeah, a lot of people, they didn't think RE5 was a bad game. They thought it was pretty good. It had its shortcomings.
Fanboys.
It had its shortcomings here or there, but I think for the most part that, it still was a pretty profitable game. I think it's even in Capcom's platinum list.
It's one of Capcom's best sellers, but as far as like best sellers, which kind of talked about this before. They waited a few years after the initial release and then said it would, and then declared it that. This also applied to games like Operation Raccoon City and Resident Evil 6. They had claimed that these games sold very well, but only years after they had accumulated sales. Initial sales for RE5 and for RE6, they were actually very low. RE6 even lower than RE5. But, you know, I don't know why Capcom decides to do it that way, where they declare a title, you know, to be a bestseller.
Maybe they wanted it to sell that much. Then they were delusional. Oh man, but that is pretty funny. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but that was funny.
I'll take on number 17 since we're kind of wrapping up with these questions here. How long do you expect the multiplayer to be active for this game? Probably about a few months. And that's
11 minutes.
I don't. Well, if you consider the fact that ORC still has a pretty vibrant multiplayer, you never know. People might love to play trash, and that might happen. So, yeah.
People play that multiplayer for ORC.
People want,
but they don't play all the modes for that multiplayer, from my understanding.
Yeah, they don't. They only play Heroes mode. You know, people want to go dumpster diving, I guess. So.
So my joke.
Yeah, I don't think they play the biohazard mode or whatever, where you have to collect the G virus samples, and I don't think they play the. You won't really find a game. What is it? The Survivors, where you have to like get on the helicopter and you have to make sure that it yourself and then potentially most of your teammates, if not all of your teammates, get on the helicopter and survive. I don't think anybody really plays those maps, but they usually play Team Attack and other garbage.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, it's gonna vary. I would say, is this game coming to the PC also?
Yes, it's PC, PS4, and PC.
It'll definitely die out on the PC if it's not popular. I can guarantee that, because it seems that multiplayer games for the PC, they tend to die out a lot faster than console games for some reason. I guess PC players are a lot more, a little bit more impatient with some of their games. If it's not that good, they move on to some other games that are on the PC platform. So if it's not great there, then it's going to die out fast.
What about James? What do you think about this?
No, not more than a few months, in my opinion. There'll probably be the ORC people like, this game is great, and I'll be like, that's good. You can go enjoy your dumpster trash.
Doom will live forever.
Yeah, Doom will probably live forever.
Doom would probably live forever compared to that shit until the servers.
On PC already.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
on
you know.
PC, but not
On console, no.
Yeah, like the same thing would apply to Raccoon City, Umbrella Corps. Like it could be dead on PC and still.
I think it'll be deadish on console, though. It just looks like a piece of shit.
So, why don't we have Brian read off number 18?
Is there anything remotely positive you can say about Umbrella Corps? Hell no.
Why are you talking like you're French?
Brian,
That was English, you.
do that accent all the time.
Yeah, that's fucking weird ass accent.
I'm gonna say that I mentioned these earlier. The concept, like I said, it sounds cool, but in execution, it seems like it's being executed poorly. And I also, like I said earlier, I do like the fact when it came to the weapon customization, you can change like the iron sights, and I don't think I've ever seen that in any other shooter. So that to me was kind of interesting. But other than that, I don't really see anything that I don't think I can really say anything positive about this game. You know, maybe my opinion will change when the game actually comes out and I play it, but it's highly unlikely.
Remains to be seen. Like I said, for me, for the most part, I'm not expecting much though. My expectations are kind of low, like real low. So hopefully it's an entertaining game, but if not, well, I got other things to play.
What about Brendan and James? What do you guys think?
Well, since you asked nicely, honestly, the throwback maps look really good in Unreal 4, especially RU4.
It's Unity 5, not Unreal 4.
I mean, you know,
wish it was Unreal.
Unity 5 doesn't look that bad, honestly.
Yeah, visually, I don't think it looks bad either. Like I like the redone RU4 map in particular. It looks really nice, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Better than the Hexane engine, that's for sure.
Oh.
No, I know James will definitely agree to that one.
What engine?
The Hexane
Hexane
engine was used in Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City.
That's why it looks like such a piece of crap.
So, is there anything positive you have to say about Umbrella Corps, James, or nay?
Is this a trick question?
Yes, this is a trick question.
No. Just everything's used like crap. Especially the thing where they did, what was it? The thing where they put the characters' heads on the hunk models or whatever.
Oh, you're talking about the character skins?
Yeah, and then they donate in Wesker's, and that even sound like Wesker and shit. It was like, this
shit, I forgot to bring that up.
Okay, well, what they did is they took the hunk models, I guess, and they put fucking different characters' heads on, like Wesker or Jake or Leon, and they don't even sound like their own characters, and it's just really lazy and just adds more insult to injury.
So you can dress it. You can dress it up however much you want. Ugly is still ugly.
Yeah. Well, I will have. I'll read number 19, and then I'll have Ren read number 20. Would you be surprised if this game actually ended up being a free game on PlayStation Plus, if not on sale a few months after launch?
Yep.
I would not be surprised, honestly. And I even said that, like, initially, that if this game were to come out, I'll just wait for it to come on PlayStation Plus. Of course, this was before Ren so kindly offered to wanting to purchase that game for me and have me review it.
I'm evil, I know.
Dom is blackmailing Renegade right now. That's the only reason why.
Blackmail.
Yeah, well, I feel like the trade-off is if I do that, he has to play ORC. So, and we're almost done with that actually. So, just one more mission and some multiplayer, and we're done.
That game sucks.
The operative word being almost.
What about you guys? What do you think? Do you think it would end up on sale or on PlayStation Plus for free?
Well, Street Fighter V went on sale really fast.
I thought I'd see that too, yeah.
So it is.
Esports, it's not your thing.
It's possible. It's really possible. Like the esports crowd, I mean, I understand that you're trying to, connect to a new audience, but it doesn't always work too well. You have to think, when you're making a game, I'm always under the impression that you have to think about everyone before you just think about one demographic. Otherwise, you might alienate the people who might not be into a certain crowd or something like that. Like the casuals, I mean, they probably don't even know anything about esports. The hardcore people, they probably don't even care about esports. So you have to cater to everyone. And if you do it for one specific, crowd, then you're catering to them, but not everyone else, and it just tends to go to shit from there.
Well, I would say that, like we talked about earlier, how, Capcom trying to cater to everyone kind of screwed them over in the sense that they have identity crisis. Crises?
Creeps.
Crisis 4.
Titties.
But they have multiple identity crises, and I don't know. People are gonna fucking call me out on that. Like, why you know grammar? Because I fucking suck at grammar. That's why. But anyway, the point being is that Capcom trying to cater to so many different demographics is a problem. What they should be doing is catering to the fans, not to some demographic that is into a specific thing like esports or Evo, and then maybe do some things for the casuals here and there, but mostly dedicate stuff to the fans, and that's how you get your sales really, is when you do things that the fans like. And that's not to say do everything that the fans want, but just do things that the fans would want, but also remember that you should also do something new and not always listen to everything that the fans say. Although it really just depends on what you're doing exactly. But, yeah. Does anybody else want to go, or?
No, I think I said my piece. It's gonna, if it's not that great, it's gonna be like $20 bargain bin in like a month or two.
Well, starting price is $30.
That's
The deluxe
$30
edition
too many.
is $40. The deluxe edition is $40. So yeah.
Can I give them like the cotton in my pocket and a penny?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll give them a penny for it.
We don't take dust bunnies for cash, boy.
Anyways, why don't we have Ren wrap things up with the final question?
Are there any final thoughts you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Nope.
Yeah, Capcom, you still owe me $5 for Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. I can still wipe my ass with that.
Well, I want to say that if the game is good, I'd be genuinely surprised. But so far, I'm just, I don't see it. I think that this game is gonna flop. Will it be worse than Operation Raccoon City? Who knows? Only time will tell with that one. But, I'm not liking what I see so far.
Flop like LeBron.
He's gonna be pushing that one all night.
I'm just saying. My thoughts. You see this game, please run away.
Yeah, head for the hills.
Run like Leon Nari 4. You just turn into the Flash.
Oh, from the boulder?
Yeah, that's the animation looks so silly.
He's not wrong though.
Like he goes into the Flash.
And punch it.
What about you, Brandon?
Well, you know what? I will find the biggest boulder I can find, game right in the middle of it, and have Chris punch it.
I just hope that Capcom knows what they're doing, but that's probably a misnomer. So,
That you even said everything we needed to know.
yeah, that's probably false. So I don't know. I mean, shit, it is a spin-off game, so I can't get too upset. At the same time, I'm not expecting much. Like I said, my bar of expectations is low, so there you have it. I'm not really looking all that forward to playing it if it's bad, so that's just another thing I have to endure. So what about you, Dom?
It's like I said, I don't know. This game could potentially be better than ORC, but who knows? Only time will tell. But from what I've seen so far, I just really don't like what I see. But like I said, only time will tell with this one.
So I guess it's time to do outros.
Mm-hmm.
So, who wants to go first?
I guess we can have Brandon go first, and then we'll work our way from there.
Okay.
I'll go with.
Outros.
Outros. Yep.
You can find me on Twitter at
You can find him at that static. You can find him in the radio tower.
You can
Yeah,
find
you
him
can
in
find me
You
Title
can find him
Zero.
in Silent Hill.
Find me on Radio Shack.
But try that again because your mic kind of crapped out.
Part of my voice. But you can find me at Twitter at ArcaneMagic514. Douchebag Ken. You also can see me on Skype as Renlax.
Oh, fuck
Emphasis on
off.
douchebag.
Yeah, emphasis on douchebag.
You know, if people are jealous, they haven't mastered the douchebag way.
So, where can we find you, Ren?
You can find me in the TCP chat looking at these titties. Someone posted in the chat apparently. Oh no, not today. Finger swag. So, you can find me on Twitter at @OperativeRen_. You can find me on YouTube at Renegade Operative. I have to edit this video, of course, and put that up. I also have to do the ORC session, which we did not too long ago, which was hilarious because we had to fight a tyrant for like 80,000 hours for what it seemed, and it was not fun, but I'll try to make the most of it. And I also have to... Go ahead.
I was gonna say that video, that first portion or that mission that we did took us about 2 hours to go through, whereas the final mission only took us about like 20 minutes.
But yeah, it was funny. I'm gonna try to edit that down of the tyrant fight, but I'm gonna try to include the best bits. And then I think I have to upload my E3 impressions of Ubisoft because the audio was extremely loud, so I'm going to be doing that tonight. But you can find all those videos on YouTube at Renegade Operative. That's where they will be. And you can find the TCP at the Cooperative Experience on YouTube.
I'd like to point out that he's saying this while he's still distracted by those breasts.
I am still kind of glaring at my phone, so I guess you caught me red-handed.
Where can we find you, James?
You can find me on Twitter at DevHunterJames and here on the GCP and BioDevils podcast.
Then last but not least, where can we find you, Mr. Word?
You can find me on Twitter at the Milk Artist, also known as at BrianWord1, and I will be around to share my thoughts, and I will be here on the TCP podcast from time to time, here to share my thoughts, my feelings, and everything about the creativity of writing that you need to know.
Yeah,
this man
go on Twitter.
I can't help but laugh.
This man is basically the new Stewie from Family Guy.
Nah, this nigga just hired a kite.
He sounds like a rich Carlton Banks.
Damn.
He sounds like a snobby bowling ball.
Anyway, you guys can find me as biodevil_Dom at YouTube and on Twitter. And you could also find me as Dom241996 on Twitch. And I basically just do like a lot of different videos. I cover the news sometimes, and I also do a podcast, which is the BioDevils podcast, which I'm the host of. And you can find Brandon and James on there, and occasionally Ren and sometimes Brian there as well. But yeah, you guys can check that stuff out. And currently I'm working on a new video. It's actually on Operation Raccoon City, which is going to be followed up probably by Resident Evil 6. But, you know, it all just depends on my timing. But that said, yeah, you can check out my stuff like that. So, yeah.
Alright, so we're going to wrap this episodic discussion up, or episodic roast of Umbrella Corps. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Renegade Operative and the TCP crew signing out, so see you guys later.
Don't play the game. Don't buy it. Whatever you do, don't.
Don't.